and welcome to the Deuce Podcast. I am Brad.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we are doing episode 127 in honor of what?
Holy cow.
127. In honor of Bad Boys for Life hitting the movie theaters this weekend. We thought we'd revisit Bad Boys 2.
Yes.
Bad Boys, what you
going to do?
What you gonna do when we come for you? All right. Now that we've got that out of the way. The 2003 sequel to the original Bad Boys, starring Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
Came out like 8 years after the first, I think.
It's yeah. I mean, the plot takes 8 years after.
Yeah.
Is the movie 8 years after too?
Yeah, it came out in 95.
95, something like that. Yeah, it was 90s. So. Yeah. So Martin Lawrence. This time around, we have Gabrielle Union jumping in there too.
Yep, she joins in.
She joins in to the madness and fun of the Michael Bay, right?
Yep.
The Michael Bay classic, Bad Boys 2. There's so much to say about this movie and so much not to say about this movie.
True.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's
very fun, but also long, also not fun, but also fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's like most Michael Bay flicks. Like, there's nuggets of
goodness.
Yes.
You would say, right?
Yeah.
But do we have a plot synopsis for this movie?
I do. Narcotic cops Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett head up a task force investigating the flow of ecstasy into Miami. Their search leads to a dangerous kingpin, Johnny Tapia, whose plan to control the city's drug traffic has touched off an underground war. Meanwhile, things get sexy between Mike and Sid, Marcus's sister, which is a ridiculous way to tack that on there.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, things aren't just getting sexy between Mike and Sid. Sid is a DEA agent who gets caught in the crossfire while being brave as an undercover officer.
Right. Yeah.
It seems shitty that the last
at no point
that was
at no point in the movie are they having sex.
Also, sexy time with
we never see them have sex. We just know that they kiss every once in a while.
You know what? Like this is not up to snuff. Yeah. This is not up to the snuff of reviews that I would synopses that I would expect to get from Anonymous.
Anonymous, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So
didn't they write Anonymous? Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
And
is that the end of it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's the end. They just start like, and the sexy Sid.
Yeah.
Wow, Anonymous. I will find you. I will track you down, and I will.
Yeah, I can read a longer one.
You can read a longer one if you want, but you know,
it really covers.
If you want to,
yeah.
Because there's a lot going on in this movie.
Well, maybe this longer one will help the situation.
Okay, let's yeah, go ahead.
Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett, who are part of the Miami PD's tactical narcotics team, TNT Dynamite, Michael Bay Bablosions, still don't always get along, and now they're keeping secrets from each other. Mike's secret is that he's been seeing Marcus's sister, Sid Burnett, who is a reported paper pusher for the DEA's New York office. Marcus's secret is that he asked for a transfer because he wants to spend more time with his family and less time with Mike. That's all set aside when their boss, Captain Howard, played by Joe Pantoliano, assigns them to stop the flow of record amounts of ecstasy into the city. This puts Mike and Marcus on the trail of the most dangerous enemy that they've ever faced, Cuban drug kingpin Hector Juan Carlos Johnny Tapia, who's wanted to take control of the entire ecstasy trade in the USA and is working with local dealers and club owners such as Russian mafia boss Alexei. Every time the Miami PD has ever arrested Tapia, he has sued the Miami PD for false arrest and won millions of dollars. This has caused the department to back off and not go after Tapia. Well, everyone has backed off except for Mike and Marcus, who have never faced Tapia before. Now it seems that Tapia is using a mortuary as a cover for his operations, smuggling ecstasy hidden inside of dead bodies, while sending his money to Cuba in hidden compartments in the coffins. While Mike and Marcus try to bring Tapia down, they also deal with the discovery that Sid is actually working undercover for the DEA to bring down a money laundering operation run by Alexei. As part of her undercover job, Sid is in deep with when investigations cross paths. Sid's cover is later blown, and she is kidnapped by Tapia, who takes her to his compound in Cuba. With the unofficial help of people from the CIA, the Miami PD, and anti-Castro forces in Cuba, Mike and Marcus head out to rescue Sid and bring Tapia down. How far will Tapia go to keep his drug empire? And how far will Marcus and Mike go to rescue Sid?
And remember, folks, the sequel is king.
Did that cover
Good night.
everything? Did that take care of it?
I think that was the whole plot.
Yeah, it was.
That was the whole thing. I don't know who wrote that. Synonymous?
No, Todd Baldridge.
Todd Baldridge.
Todd Baldridge, which sounds like an alias.
That sounds like a porn star.
Yeah.
Todd Baldridge.
Starring Todd Baldridge.
Hello, I'm Todd Baldridge. Well, that was the whole plot. I mean, you did give us the whole plot. So I think, I think we can start with the beginning.
Before we get too far into this, I'd like to take a second and talk about the No Phony Podcast Network.
If you want to.
I do.
Okay.
I really do. So the No Phony Podcast Network is a network of people. It's part of the network we're in. Or it is the network we're in. The people who are taking part in this, it's just podcasts from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different subject matter. You should definitely go and check it out. If you go to nophonynetwork.com, all sorts of different great podcasts out there. This month, our podcast of the month is the Assorted Goods Podcast. So your host will dive into news stories from the past and present and, dare I say, future? And just look.
Oh, so they don't buy goods and then assort them.
No.
I don't know why. I was thinking that. Well, so check them out on the No Phony Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes.
That might be Stitcher. That might be Podbean. That might be BeanPod. That might be, I don't know. Just whatever you want.
Bing Bang.
It might be Spotify.
Might be
It might be Schmongling. I just made that up.
Podsmack.
Podsmack.
Maybe.
Blarg Fanargnark.
Might be. I don't know. Anyway,
I think they're Podknife.
There's Podknife. Podknife is one.
Podsmack one of them?
No.
That should be.
Podsmack?
Yes.
It should be.
Get on it, whoever
I'm
does
on it. I'm
the
doing
names of podcast catchers. All right, so we start? Let's start where it all starts, right? Not belongs, but where it starts.
Yeah,
and that's Henry Rollins.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It opens.
Henry Rollins shows up in this movie, and not for a long time, but I'm kind of glad he does because I'm like Henry Rollins.
Yeah, I
love Henry Rollins.
I do too.
Henry Rollins auditioned for Michael Bay in Armageddon.
Yeah.
And did not get any. He screwed up the whole audition. He was pissed at himself for that. And so he made sure I think he got this by accident. I think that's what I read.
Yeah.
So, but I don't, it was just one of those moments where it was kind of like, oh, yeah, Henry Rollins acts.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Chris Isaac in like Science of the Lambs.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah. Okay, there you go.
Whenever I see, whenever I see Henry Rollins in anything, though, like I always think he does an amazing job.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, like he does a lot of like voiceover work.
Yeah, I can see him do voiceover work more.
He does. He was in Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
where it was like Batman in the future.
Right.
And he played a character called Mad Stan, who was basically like a demolition expert, who was like planting bombs and stuff. Yeah. Perfect.
I'm gonna assume that like he was in charge of the whole like division. Besides Joey Pants, Joey Pants is like a chief.
Yeah, he was basically the SWAT leader.
He's the SWAT leader,
less, yeah.
Right? Wasn't he? We don't get a lot of him because he mostly follows, our two main characters.
Yeah,
but they're trying to. There's a lead that they got for like the drug smuggling.
Yeah,
right. And so they're in some kind of swampy area or water area or
like
something?
You see this whole like apparently they've gotten a tip that there's a drug.
I mean, it's Miami, so it's like it's got to be some Michael Bay.
Well, there's a big a big cargo ship coming from like Amsterdam, and it's bringing over this ecstasy, and you see it drops these coffins off which a speedboat picks up and then takes off. And
the whole time I was watching this cold open, because this is kind of what it is, I was like, this looks a lot like CSI.
Kind of. CSI Miami.
CSI Miami, CSI anything, just like, because Jerry Bruckheimer also produced this.
Yeah.
As well. Same fucking thing. But it just seemed like bullet times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just all looked like CSI.
Yeah.
If not CSI Miami. But yeah, correct. But the whole time I'm like, I'm waiting for our main guys. I'm waiting for Marcus. I'm waiting for Mike. And I'm waiting for, them to pop up somewhere.
Well, let me say too, like, and I've learned a term which I think expresses things perfectly. So I don't know if you've ever, and some of our listeners probably have too, but there was a South Park used to love to take jabs at Michael Bay years ago, and they had one time they were showing a bunch of stuff happening, and they were like, Michael Bay bublosions, or then I think South Park did, or Family Guy did it too, and like they all just teased because he was just over the top with explosions and graphics.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but it's fun sometimes.
Yeah,
sometimes it can't be.
Well, and they always talked about, like, South Park makes a joke about, like, I'm sorry, what was the plot of this movie? And he goes,
right.
But that was plot. And he's like, no, those were just sound effects and explosions. And he goes, I don't know the difference. And it was like, nice. But, that's kind of what people have started to call this term, or like the type of movie that Michael Bay has is Bayhem.
Oh, got you. Bayhem, like mayhem.
Yeah, it's like Michael Bay style.
It's like downloaded. It's like a downed 2 Monster drinks, right?
Yeah,
and then started watching CSI Miami.
Yeah,
and then went, what? Whoa.
Yeah,
with special guest stars Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. What?
Well, because that happened on CSI Miami. Like, they were just like, we're going to Colombia, and like. David Caruso and another guy go to Colombia with guns and like take out the drug dealers there, and it makes no sense. But
makes no sense, yeah.
But like the scene.
And keep in mind, I've never seen any of these movies.
Yeah,
vouch for me. The only scenes I've ever seen are from Hot Fuzz.
Yes,
those are the only scenes of Bad Boys.
Yeah,
I think they show Bad Boys 2. Well, no, they show both of them.
Yeah,
in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah,
because they watch them back to back.
Yes,
my sister loves these movies. My sister Shelby loves Bad Boys. I was like, what? You like Bad Boys? Oh, yeah. She loves these movies. I don't know, but there is something about them. And there is something... There was something about when I was watching these movies. The beginning fight where it's a KKK rally. All of a sudden, 2 of the Klansmen pop out, and it's our main characters, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. I loved it. I loved the fact that but it was so cheesy, but so great.
I simultaneously like hate and love this scene.
I hate. It's like the whole movie. I hate and love at the same time.
Yes,
and I don't know why I hate and love it, but I feel like that's okay, and it's okay to hate love and love hate at the same time. A movie, and if anyone can pull that off, it's Michael Bay.
Yeah, well, and it's cheese. But like, you got to appreciate it for what it is.
I'm sorry, like
you got to appreciate it for what it is.
It's not Shakespeare. No, don't get me wrong, but like it is what it is, right? You are just go along with the ride.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first scene should say it all. So we see the drugs kind of get like broken down by place to place to place until it finally gets to the shipment. And as it's pulling in, they have people on the ground and in the water, like waiting to get them, and it's like Navy SEALs, like you see them like coming up out of the water, like getting ready to invade and everything, and it goes up, and then a flaming cross lights up, and you just see Klan members everywhere, and the guy delivering the drugs goes, "There's a Klan meeting tonight?" And he's like, "Oh no, thank you."
The flame of the cross lit right when it's in Michael Bay, by the way.
Yeah,
which I thought that was great. And then when they emerge and they're like, and they start singing Bad Boys, which I'm like, why do you have to? Do you have to do that every time that you bust someone? But then I realized, no, you have to do that at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Not necessarily at the beginning of every bust.
Yeah. Like in the first movie, they just sing like the chorus part of it.
Right. And then Martin Lawrence doesn't know the whole words.
Which is which I think was
Who does?
a fun time. Yeah, right. He goes. They pull off their robes or the robes and hoods, and it's Marcus and Mike, and they're got guns pointed at people, and they start singing "Bad Boys," and then they get out of the chorus and back to the hook or the next lyric, and Martin Lawrence is like, and just like making up words,
and I'm just like, these KKK guys, these guys are just probably like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a shootout.
Yep.
That is John Woo-esque in a way.
Michael Bay takes so much from John Woo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like you see so much stuff where he was like, yes, I got this. Like the slow motion, the diving, things that are flying through the shot.
Like it's pumped up to like 11,
Mm-hmm.
But why not 10? Because it's one more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
Like this movie's always at 11.
Yeah.
And you're like, why?
Yeah.
But okay, sure. And it's like, even when Martin Lawrence gets captured by one of them, and Will Smith has to shoot the guy. Accidentally shoots Martin Lawrence in the butt.
Yeah.
But pretty much saves his life.
Yes.
Which I thought was funny.
And in the
the
dialogue of this, too, we learn because Martin Lawrence is not just firing at people.
Yeah,
he's trying to like talk to people. Or
a lot of it kind of is improv. It has to be with those two.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure it is to some degree.
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah.
But like part of it, we learn through the dialogue that Martin Lawrence now is like trying to be more of a pacifist. He's not trying to be as angry.
Now, was he angry in the first movie?
Yeah, well, he's trying to turn over a new leaf and not be like shooting people and he's trying to give people this dignity and whatever.
Sure.
And so he's trying to talk to them. And there's a conflict that runs throughout the length of the movie because Martin Lawrence is like, Marcus is like, hey, we could have questioned all of these guys.
Yeah, but Mike blew him away.
But Mike just he's just trigger happy, taking everybody out. And they're like, we could have done this so much easier, but you wouldn't go that route.
Well, it's also unrealistic in real life, right? Just to have just cops just barreling through everyone, just in general, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the hyper violence of the movie itself,
yes,
right? I mean, it's just what it is, right?
Yeah,
yeah. But I do like the whole, I don't know, that he shot him in the butt thing.
Yeah,
I like that.
Just grazed his butt.
Just grazed his butt. I don't like how it comes back up later on, but we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah.
But where are we at? Are we to the point where Gabrielle Union comes? We're at the barbecue.
Yeah, they have a family barbecue.
Yeah.
And we learn that. Well, and
then Gabrielle Union comes up. Omaha girl, love you, Gabrielle Union. Well, not that she listens to our podcast, but
right,
she does.
But she could.
She could.
We do have a lot of Nebraska listeners.
She could.
Yeah, she might.
She might.
Who knows?
Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, your belief, not John Beasley's granddaughter. Okay, so stop thinking that she's John Beasley's granddaughter.
I have never said or thought that.
You have thought that.
I have not.
Okay, maybe it was me. Anyway, I love Gabrielle Union.
Yeah,
she's in this movie and she's prettier than anything, as always, and she never ages. I swear, this woman never ages.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't.
No, she's amazing.
But I love that we're giving her action and we're giving her something fun to do.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I like her character too. So there's Will Smith's character. Mike has a reputation. He's kind of a dog. Like he, even in the opening when they're talking about Martin Lawrence going to his therapist, and like going through these things to overcome his anger, then they talk about Will Smith and his therapist, and you realize he slept with her. Like that's the, they talk about the differences between them, and so he has this reputation. Come to find out that when he went to New York to drop off a witness
for something,
that he met up with her and they've kind of fallen for each other, and they're like they want to be together, and it seems like he's he's chilled out.
Hey, aren't you a cop too? No, I'm not a cop. I'm more of a paper pusher
With the DEA.
with the DEA.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I was just like, no, you're not.
Yeah, right.
I flat out, I was like, no, you're not.
Yeah, we learned that really fast. We learned that really fast when she shows up to like a drug deal.
Right, she's undercover.
Yeah.
And she's shows up. She's pretty like a liaison to the Russians and Tapia. Is his name Tapia or?
Well, Tapia hasn't come into the equation yet.
Not really, but he's going. He's about ready.
Yeah, he will be. He's just the person supply. He's a supplier right now.
Right.
But she's going after the Russians at the moment.
Right, the guy from Fargo.
Yes, Peter Stormare.
Right. Is that your friend in the wood chipper there?
Yeah.
That guy.
Was he Swedish?
Is he Swedish? Why is he playing? He always plays Russian.
He always plays Russian, and I'm like, but he's Swedish.
Bullshit. Yeah, like why? Ugh, it just makes me. Not that I'm like, hey, feel bad for the Russians, but I'm just like, why do they always make him play Russian?
It's because people can't really pin down his accent.
People can't just do it.
I love Peter Stormare.
Yeah, he's in God, what's that one show that you watch? American Gods. He's in that.
Oh
too.
yeah. He's Chernobyl.
Yeah.
So she's meeting up with them and getting money passed around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Will Smith, he got his information about like this original drop from his
informant.
contact, his informant, and this is a part where I'm just kind of like, this all seems very unnecessary to me.
It also seems very coincidental and very like, okay, we just pretty much mixed two worlds together.
Yeah.
Her world and their world.
Yeah. Well, there's
just to get them.
Yeah. There's a Haitian group of, I don't know what we want to call them, if they're drug dealers or thieves or whatever we want to call them. But
yeah,
they're Haitians. They all have dreads. And in fact, but not enough, no names to any of them. They're just, that's how unimportant they are.
Haitian 1, Haitian 2, Haitian 3.
Yeah, and the one is called Blonde Dreads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're like...
Yeah. It's just, it's so like... They're there for two reasons. To
get them money.
To get them connected together.
Right.
The fact that like Gabrielle Union and
the stories together.
Yes, to merge the stories together. But then to have a Bayhem chase scene.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this chase scene. Again, like everything in this movie, I love and hate this. I hate it because there's moments where in the chasing where I don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like it's cut so fast. You're like, wait, what car was that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's times where it's like that. Then there's times where I'm like, yes, can I get more explosions?
Yeah.
Can I get a boat? Here you go. There's a boat.
They do some interesting things.
Yes, there's some interesting things, and I'm going. There's a lot to this that you see now in the last 10 years in action movies, including the Fast and Furious franchise. Where you see all this stuff come up, and it almost is cemented through Michael Bay and through the fact of namely this movie, which tried to up it from the first movie, you would say, right?
Yeah. Well, and I personally want to go back. I'm intrigued now to the point where I do want to do a little bit of research and go back and figure out like kind of what seems like we saw a lot of movies that have very similar like kind of action pieces to them that came out around this time. So 2003, Bad Boys 2. 2003, we have Fast and Furious. And as a matter of fact, Fast and Furious was...
Too Fast and Too Furious.
What's that?
Yeah, it's Too Fast and Too Furious.
Okay, yeah.
This is a sequel.
Yeah. In fact, they were filming at the same time.
Yeah.
Also, 2003, Matrix Reloaded came out.
Right, that's one thing. Like,
yeah.
And that's a great, like, and also another great sequence.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of, like, where they're doing... you see a lot more of this come up around that time. I think these, like, grand chase and, like, car stunt kind of films that, like, you saw sometimes, but not, like, to the same degree as these grand ones.
This is different in the way that he's shooting it. It almost feels really real.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the stunts are very real. You know, a la kind of not in the terms of like Tom what's his face, Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible movies, but pretty close to that.
Yeah.
To where like you're in the action with it, and you feel like that you can feel all the flames and all the speed that's going around you, right? I don't know. This just really works for me. Again, the editing doesn't work for me, but for some reason, the whole process is fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And makes this movie enjoyable on that level. Like we're saying, this is not, this is not, filet mignon.
Right.
By any means.
Yeah.
But why should it be?
Yeah.
It's Bad Boys 2.
Right. It's fun. Like, it's just fun. You gotta appreciate it for the fun that it brings.
Well, it's just that there's a lot of people that don't like, and I'm not like, hey, we must savor all these action movies, but there's just certain things that happen with action movies where they don't get enough credit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like horror movies don't get enough credit. There's always these genres that don't get enough credit through the Academy or whatnot.
Yeah.
That are getting their ups and downs now.
Yeah.
Through Mad Max Fury Road, through even Black Panther, through even the Mission Impossible movies, they're getting awarded for this, but there never really is a stunt double Oscar or stunts for Oscar. You know what I mean?
And there should be.
Which there should be.
Yeah, agreed. Wholeheartedly agreed.
Yeah.
So, the car scene, the car chase scene is fantastic. Like, if you've never seen it, make sure that you do.
Yeah, it goes on a little too long.
It does.
But it's fine.
Yeah. Well, and part of that, too, Michael Bay loves his, like, thing where stuff goes over somebody and they watch it in slow motion go over them.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of that. And there's a lot of cool things. There's like you said, the boat. There's a part where the boat comes off of something. You see it go around.
Yeah.
I like how they
There's a part where they're throwing the cars off of one of those trucks that carries the cars, but the car is connected to a chain. It starts kind of whipping around.
Yeah.
I kind of love that. Like, that's going to happen. If you're going to do that, it's going to happen.
Yes.
Which causes more wreckage.
Yeah.
But I like that. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll get around it,
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
So they
end up then going to get Sid.
Right. They find Sid.
Yeah.
And she explains what's going on. She makes the money drop, so everything's still going on from her end of it.
Mm-hmm.
She asks them to stay out of it, which they're not going to.
Right.
But then also, Tapia's men have gotten a picture of them, and they think they're other gang members. They think on top of the Haitians coming in that they're another gang who's going after.
But hey, whatever.
Yeah, they keep calling them gangbangers, which was like, well, that's a pretty big assumption. The guy's driving a really fancy car.
Yeah, sure. And then we don't see Gabrielle Union for a while. Like, there's a big break in the story with her, but then later on she becomes something of importance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she comes up now and again, but basically they're tracking things down. They're trying to find out where everything's coming and going from.
Right. They're trying to find the Haitian gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they find the Haitian gang.
Right.
And there is they bust into this house, like their headquarters, and there's a whole gunfight with them. And there's this camera sequence that I really dislike. I know.
I was okay with it.
Well, I was okay like the first two passes.
Yeah.
So to set the scene, Will Smith is on one side of the wall, and he's got his guns pointed either direction. Now, if he's standing back to the wall, that means his guns are not really pointing at anything.
Right.
And he's just kind of pointing either side. And on the other side of the wall are all of the Haitians, and then like Martin Lawrence is back on Will Smith's side, just kind of hanging out in a back room. And they're all screaming at each other, and it just keeps going. Well, the camera pans from like one door to the other. So it's like, imagine the camera is pivoting on a giant circle between these two sides. And about the first pass, I was like, that's a cool shot. And the second one, I'm like, okay, still a cool shot. It does that like 3 or 4 more times, and it's driving me nuts.
It doesn't do that much. Maybe it does it 4 times in a row.
Yeah, it drove me. After a while, I was like, oh my God, come on. Like, because there's no point to it. They're just screaming.
I guess the reason why I found it interesting is there was no point to it. So it made it the least different than normal, than what I would see in an action movie. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of made me more interested in the scene. That could be kind of boring scene, because this is kind of a shootout scene. I think we've seen shootouts before.
Right. I think if you were going to do this, though, you needed to add more of a point to, like, if it was him on one side and a bigger villain on the other, and the villain side was like you don't even know what my plan is, blah, 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 blah. And as it went to the other side, Will Smith had his lines. And when it got back around, and talking to the other one. But it literally was just them, like, screaming at one another.
Well, whatever.
And so, like, it could have been more effective. I mean, it started out very interesting. I just thought it went on too long. Or if it was going to go on as long as it did, it needed to have a little bit more chops to it.
Right.
But, like...
So they shoot out. There's this big shootout. And he kills out pretty much everyone except one of the guys.
And it's interesting. Like,
even Marcus calls him on it. That's when you said that, he's like, you kill everyone. We can't, talk to any of these guys.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, we don't want to question. Should we question this guy? Oh, no. His brains are all over the coffee table. How about this guy? Nope, he's fucked up. Like, it was.
I thought that was funny. Mm-hmm. I thought the delivery of Martin Lawrence on those lines was great. I thought perfect. There was something about Martin Lawrence I actually enjoyed in this. That a lot of times I don't prefer him. In stuff. I wasn't really a fan of Martin. And I wasn't really a big fan of his stand up. But I also was younger back in the day. Yeah. But for some reason in this movie, I think he is one of the people that I really enjoy.
I think he does a really good job of almost restraining his comedy. Mm-hmm. Like, he knows when to be funny.
Yeah.
And when he does it, like, his comedy is on point. And it's not I think he also does, like, over the top and a lot of mugging, but, like, he pulls it back enough.
I think it's because of Will Smith.
Yeah, he pulls it back enough to where it is funny and it's enjoyable, but he also knows when to pull back and be dramatic.
Right.
I don't think you get enough drama from Martin Lawrence and his acting.
No, I think
overall.
You should. I think it would have been benefited.
I would love to see even more of a dramatic career from Martin Lawrence. I think he would do very well with that.
But I think the reason why he was pulling it back is probably because he respects Will Smith. Obviously, these guys are friends if they're going to do these movies together. So he knew that he needed to play off someone.
Yeah.
So you're not going to, like, step over someone. So, I believe that because he's restraining himself is all because of Will Smith. If it was anyone else, I think it wouldn't work. No. And I'm glad that these are 2 African American actors and not one white guy and an African American actor.
Yeah,
that's just bullshit. We've seen that many times. We don't give a shit about that. Like, get over yourself. You don't need the white guy to come in, and be all like, I'm here for you. We've seen that. That's Lethal Weapon. That's like all these movies.
Yes, exactly.
Bullshit.
So they end up finding out, like, they find out about Johnny Tapia, and they basically decide they get an illegal tap and figure out, like listen to his phone calls, and they go and track him down.
Well, they put the trackers in his house, right? They pretend
that's what they're doing. Guys. Yeah, they basically they hear that they need exterminators, so they go pose as exterminators.
I love this movie. This movie has. We forgot to say that one of the KKK guys we will later on is Michael Shannon. But this movie has Michael Shannon in it. It's got rats fucking.
It does have rats.
It's got decapitations.
It has rats fucking missionary style.
It's like amazing. Like, what's in this movie? Like, the whole time I'm like, oh my god, this is great.
Yeah, and it has. He even said they fuck just like we do.
It's so like,
this is the weirdest line.
It's like,
but wonderful.
This it's like meant for memes before memes were even like.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So they get to the house, and while they're there, Alexei's there, and they're doing like a basically. Alexei's told by Tapia that he's taking over his clubs, and like Alexei came there with his partner. At the end of that, they were like, he's like, well, I need my partner to be here before I make any decision on the clubs. They bring back in barrels filled with his partner's body parts, basically. And they just chopped him apart and saying you need to sign these over. And, like, just to show how, like, menacing and, like, just psycho Tapia is. So he signs them over once Tapia threatens his family. And around that time, like, Will Smith finds, because they don't see the body stuff, he gets in the kitchen and he sees the blood everywhere and finds a finger, and he's like, holy shit, what's going on? So he grabs the finger and they fight their way out. Basically, they escape.
Yeah.
And then they have like a whole getaway thing in their van. But that's when they figure out the Russian mob connection. Right. And then they start tracking it back and figuring out like what's happening. They go to tell Sid, but she's already meeting up with Tapia and starting to come up with a deal. So she's in really deep at this point. Right. They're like telling her, stop, he's psycho, don't do this. They end up finding like what boat it comes with, like because they got a bunch of shredded paper and they found a picture of the boat.
Yes,
and that's
right.
how they.
John Sally is in this movie. He's like the tech nerdy guy.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I haven't seen John Sally forever. It was just like, oh, John Sally, look at you. Okay.
That's when they bust out Michael Shannon, who was one of the KKK members.
Yes.
Because he needs to help them.
Is this one of like Michael Shannon's first movies? I swear.
It's pretty early on in his career.
Pretty early on.
It's pretty early on. Like his second movie was Groundhog's Day. I
love his character so much. I don't know why, but I love he's just like, I have rights. He's always like, I've got rights. But they always put him in a trunk.
Yeah. They
just have no respect for him, which they shouldn't. I mean, he's a KKK member, but I'm just like, it's so great.
Yeah,
they just treat him like shit, and I love it.
Yeah. It's like, think about like how they treat kind of Joe Pesci and like Lethal Weapon.
Kind of, in a way.
Except they do not like have redeemable whatever with him. They don't even give him that chance. They're like, just get in the fucking trunk.
Just get in the trunk. And he tells him everything and leads him on the way.
So they
find the mortuary. Yeah.
Well, they find the truck that has the bodies in it, or they're loading things up. They end up chasing them down, and there's this one cool part where I was like, "What the heck is going on?" Like, all these guys, these like Cuban guys show up and they flash badges like they're police and chase people out of this bank. But they basically take over the top levels of the bank and
just to shoot them.
Yeah, how everything stops is they push out all of these desks out the window so that they're blocking the street and start firing there. Because they basically made a barricade and are like shooting there, and they end up driving into the bank. Yeah. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. True. Yeah. And so I thought it was kind of cool. Like I was like, that's a neat setup.
Then Joey Pants comes and he yells at him once again.
We forget too that the van that they're chasing, because they get spotted because Will Smith gets too close. Like he's always up in there. Yeah. He gets too close and they get recognized.
Yeah. But they want a warrant, so they go into...
Yeah. Well, the bodies start falling out of the...
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
So there's some fun with Martin Lawrence.
Falling out of the van, right? And so they start running over them.
Yeah.
Or they start getting stuck on the car. I don't know why I think this is funny. The one that really cracks me up is the decapitation of one of them. Yeah. I don't know why.
They drive over a body and its head pops off and rolls. And Martin Lawrence, every time they hit a body or do anything with the body, he's like, oh my God, just screaming. He has reactions to it are great. Yeah. It would, to me, these scenes would be boring if it wasn't for Martin Lawrence at least like interjecting some like his reactions to it. Makes the ridiculousness seem like more balanced out. Yeah. Because he's kind of recognizing that it's ridiculous. Right. So, no, I think it was needed.
Yes. I agree. So yeah.
So they end up figuring out. They found out earlier there was something where they heard them talking about fat does.
Yeah.
Well, it was because they were taking bodies, like portly bodies, and what they figure out was at this mortuary, they're stuffing the caskets with money, and then shipping bodies to Cuba with the money, and then they're shipping bodies elsewhere, and the ones that they're shipping elsewhere are filled with ecstasy.
Right. And then they're what's the word I want? Their caskets are filled with money. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're shipping it back and forth. They find this, and there's some funniness with like they end up sneaking into this mortuary, and their other detective friends kind of distract the people there. Mm-hmm. But Martin Lawrence can't handle Will Smith is digging into the body trying to feel stuff. And so he's like, just get in there. And Martin Lawrence is looking in the caskets, but he doesn't want to like feel in the bodies. And he's like, you have to just, be a detective and do it. And there's one body he's by, and the skull cap comes off because they've done the autopsy. So it comes off, and Martin Lawrence throws up in the sink.
Yeah.
And then like as Will Smith's digging around, he's like, oh, nope, here's a kidney. And then Martin Lawrence throws up again. Like, it's just like his reaction to me.
Right, but those reactions aren't cartoonish.
Yes,
those reactions are.
They could be worse.
They could be worse. They're rooted in the action comedy.
Yeah, and he throws Martin Lawrence a bag of the ecstasy, and a couple pills fall out, a couple tabs fall out, and into a glass, and then Martin Lawrence ends up drinking from it, and ends up rolling on E.
So they go to Joey P's house to get the warrant.
Yeah.
The warrant.
The warrant. Patty, you win. So, no, he, I thought he did really good here, too, because, again, it could have been way more over the top. Way
over the top. It could have been. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, there's times where it was over the top, but there's times where it wasn't.
Right.
So, no. If he gives them permission, and then,
I also like that their captain isn't like, they go and see him, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. Like, calm down. But when they realize something's wrong, the captain actually is like, he's not just like, get out. Yeah. He's, oh my God, man, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, he cares.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Go ahead. What was it saying?
I don't know.
I don't know. You were talking, not me.
I accidentally took ecstasy. I don't know.
Sorry, actually.
This microphone is great. Ooh.
Sorry,
so microphony.
Okay, so anyway, so they score a big deal because they go and they to capture the caskets.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Sorry.
So they go into
There's a lot in this. This is so crazy.
And they end up getting this warrant. They go into a 3-pronged approach.
Okay.
They're going to invade Tapia's compound.
Oh yeah.
They're going to, because they want to get to Tapia before Sid has to deal with them. Because they're like, if we bring him down first, she'll be safe.
Yeah.
They are going to raid like the warehouse, and then they're raiding the mortuary.
Oh.
They get to the mortuary, the bodies are already gone. So then they go after the boats, end up stopping those and getting the caskets. They make that bust. But now just is to take down Tapia. Well, Sid is meeting up with them already. And so she's in there, and his lieutenant says these guys are actually cops. We ID'd who these guys are. They're actually cops. And so then they figure out that she's probably a plant.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because I think they have a picture of him talking with her, or they see her with them or something.
Sure.
So they end up
kidnapping her
and sneaking out. And of course, there's like this, again, just Bayhem at this point, because they're all, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are on their way, and like all these people are going to back up the people at Tapia's place. Tapia's place is getting invaded by the DEA now because they realize that Sid has been captured. The police are there. You get all these warning signs go off because Alexei shows up then, Which I was just like, I almost would rather have him been more involved throughout the movie. But he just shows up again and starts taking out Tapia's guys. He's all drunk and trying to avenge his friends. So he's trying to take them out. And he ends up getting shot by the police. And then Tapia escapes, basically. And so they get on his jet and he takes him to Cuba. He takes her to Cuba.
No, this is where it gets really...
Yeah, this is where I had problems. And this is where, like, I drew the line.
It's not problems with the action that follows. It's more to have problems with the execution.
Yeah.
Of, like, getting there. Like, why do we have to go to Cuba?
Yeah. So when they realize what's wrong...
How the fuck are we getting to Cuba?
And
this makes no sense.
So when they realize what's wrong... So you hear... Let me just explain. They realize what's wrong. Martin Lawrence is like, I'm going. And Will Smith is like, I'm going with you. We're going to go together. So
Bad Boys for life.
Yeah, Bad Boys for life. We ride together, we die together. Bad Boys for life. So they're going to go. Then their other detective friends, one of them is Cuban, and he says, I have a cousin there who is in the underground, the anti-Castro underground. And he is targeting Tapia because Tapia gets all this money for Castro. So, like, he'll have an inn, he'll have a safe house and weapons for you there if you're going. And we're going to go too. And he's like, okay. And then, like, other commanders and stuff like this on the police force are like, we're going to invade Cuba with you. And then at one point, like, they're just like, yeah, so-and-so from the DEA, he's on board. And all these people from the DEA are going with you. And then all these people who would lose their jobs over this shit, they're all going with you. And then Joe Pantaleone's like, don't ask, I called in a favor, don't ask me how, but here's a guy from some Alpha Squad from the CIA who's going to go with you. And so it's just this very, like, weird...
Oh.
So now you have CIA operatives with you?
Yeah, it's like, hey, power teams, let's go.
Yeah. And all these people
go to Cuba.
Yeah, all the DEA, the CIA, all these people are somehow fine with being commanded by, like, the Miami police.
Right? All to save, like, Gabrielle Union.
Yes.
Like, I'm like...
Because somebody from higher up already... Oh, the FBI came in and said, we don't negotiate with terrorists. And so it was just so weird.
It was so, like...
And so they end up invading this compound. They go and get her back and take everybody out. Now to also mention, because he's so tight with Castro, that he basically is backed up by the Cuban army. And so this Cuban army is on them, and they're fighting the whole Cuban army and everything while they escape. Ridiculous. Yeah.
But isn't this the house where, like, some guy wanted to, like, the myth or legend is that he was like, hey, come film my house and just blow the shit up.
Well, it was a house in the early part of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Because I remember reading about it. It was a house that was partially built in Miami. They never actually finished it. And it just sat empty and unfinished. And so, of course, it was breaking down. It was whatever. And the guy could have just paid to have it demoed. But instead, he was like, hey, Hollywood, does anybody want to use this place? And then also destroy it. And then that'll save me some time and money.
Yeah.
And so he had people come in and film a movie there. And Michael Bay was just like, woke out of his slumber and was like, did somebody say explosion?
Yeah, somebody say explosion?
And was like on board with that. Yeah.
And they do a number to this house. I mean, they really do.
Yeah.
They knock all the shit down, and, you know, and they end up saving Sid in the process, and, you know, and then they end up, you know, towards the end of the movie, they're back home, right? And Will Smith, because at the beginning he breaks his pool, right?
Yes.
Marcus does, and so Will Smith buys him a new pool.
Yeah.
And they're like laying in the pool. And they're like, okay, hey, maybe I won't, because the whole time there's like, I'm gonna have a new partner. I'm just gonna transfer.
Yeah.
I guess I won't. And so he rips up it, and he says, I'm not gonna transfer.
Yeah.
And so the teams,
and
for life.
And they've also Will Smith came clean with him and told him like, I really care for your sister.
Right. That too.
Yeah.
And then the pool breaks and they end up in whatever
in the bay again, in Biscayne Bay. Yeah.
And I just call it the Michael Bay.
Michael Bay Bay.
The Michael Bay Bay. and Gabrielle Union and the kids and the mother. Okay, I can't think of the mother's actor's name. Laughing, and they start singing "Bad Boys" again.
Yep.
Bad boys, and then the credits roll, and it's the end.
Yep.
You've been deuced. There is one scene that we did not talk about that I wanted to talk about a little bit, and that's when they do go to the Haitian house. They end up picking up a recording or a video camera, and then they go to like some video place.
Yes.
To go decode it to, hey, what's on this, and then they find out what's on it, and then they go to. Like Martin Lawrence is just so like exhausted. He goes into sits down, but there's a camera that's pointed at them.
Yeah,
and they're talking about him and his butt problems, and it's homo, no homo, but no homo kind of scene that we got going on. So yeah, that was great.
Well, and it was a lot more of like, and it was like the conversation should have been very neutral. Like it really was more of a neutral conversation, but the way people were hearing it outside, it was just a big gay joke.
Right, but why did we need that big gay joke?
And we don't. Although, like, there was one, like Martin Lawrence even says, like, at one when he's on ecstasy, he's like, "I really love you, man." Like, not in a gay way, but in whatever. Yes. And I was just like, okay,
whatever.
Yeah, it was. But it's also. I also look at it like...
Oh, I mean, it's 2003.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
We ain't woke
the
yet.
Audience that it's geared towards, too. Let's be honest.
Right. Let's be honest with it. Yes. This movie is 20 minutes too long, in my opinion.
20 minutes too long?
Yes, 20 minutes too long.
Oh, really?
Wow. What do you think?
I would think more than that.
Really? 20 or 30 minutes too long?
Yeah, 30-ish minutes to 35 minutes too long.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could have cut. There's a lot of like scenes inside and there's some good scenes in here. I'm not saying there isn't, but there's a lot that you could have cut. So
yeah.
Let's do our 5 questions, shall we?
What do you think is the best part of this movie?
Martin Lawrence. I swear, Martin Lawrence is my favorite part of this movie. I think Martin Lawrence, like we said, just has a performance in this that rivals Will Smith. I mean, he holds his own with Will Smith, and I think Will Smith was probably gracious to like give him, because this seems to be the role that like Will Smith should have played, right? It's almost like they kind of like switched it up. Not him and Martin Lawrence, but like Will Smith should have played that character, and another actor should have played that. Like I don't know what to say. I'm saying, but anyway, what I'm saying is I enjoyed Martin Lawrence's performance.
As did I. Yeah. As did I.
Sorry, I'm on X.
No, you're fine. Microphone is so microphony. I don't
know about you, but.
No, I think Martin Lawrence is the best part of this too. Like, I think he has the
best.
There's
a scene that I don't like when they're scaring the kid.
Yeah.
For the date. I think that was pointless.
I thought it was funny, but I thought it went on too long.
It went on way too long.
Yeah. I mean, I think Martin Lawrence is very funny in this, and I think in 2003, I think Martin Lawrence was still like doing more of the comedic stuff, and Will Smith was getting more into like he's trying to do more dramatic things and trying to do more action stuff. And I got more of a sense in this movie than I did in the first one of Will Smith trying to be like, he kind of being like I'm the tougher one. I'm, less comedic now.
I'm going to tell you, it doesn't work for me. There's part of it that does not work.
Will Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just something that's missing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
To me, it was a lot of almost like Will Smith being like, I'm a badass, and all this stuff has to be related to me being a badass. I kill everybody. I am always driving and doing like these crazy things. I'm tough to do this. I'm tough to do that. Like, I didn't get these like weakness kind of things from him, and I almost needed some of the like balance of like
If anything, you get
Martin
a little
Lawrence
bit
is
with
strong here while you're weak
him
here.
and his relationship with Sid, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Other than
It
that,
was almost like a
look at how badass I am.
yeah, and that didn't work as well. But I think Martin Lawrence,
which is why I think that if a different studio or studio nowadays would have made that character white for some stupid reason, they would have made that character white.
Yeah,
I think they would have. I think that that's your typical character because I'm stronger, I drive. You know what I mean? So again, I'm glad that these were
Mel
played
Gibson
by
versus
yes, the Mel Gibson. That's why I'm glad that they're played by two African Americans.
Yes, very much so.
I'm not saying because their teamwork was fine.
Yeah, no, but I think Martin Lawrence balances that much better. He balances the comedy, not over the top, but in a very like humorous way, and when he needs to be serious or dramatic, emotional, he is.
Yeah,
I think he does a very good job with that. In this
Second
movie.
question.
Reboot, continue, or cancel?
Well, you know what? This is what I was thinking. I mean, the movie is coming out, the third movie. But you know what I think they should do? They should spin off Sid. Make a whole different show with Sid. And have her partner be Jessica Biel. And have her captain be Ernie Hudson. Yeah, that's right. Folks, I'm just telling you what LA Finest is. A TV show from Spectrum TV. They actually spun off Sid.
Did they really?
Yes. And last year they spun off Sid. They gave her a partner, and the partner is played by Jessica Alba, and her strange father, both Marcus's and Sid's strange father, is Ernie Hudson.
Does Marcus show up?
No, Marcus. I don't think Marcus shows up. John Solly does. Jake Busey's in this as well.
Jake
Barry
Cock-a-Doodle Busey?
Yes, you know it. Zach Gilford, yeah. So this is on the Spectrum network.
Interesting,
and it was picked up for a second season.
Interesting,
very interesting too. I didn't even know this existed until I looked up Bad Boys franchise.
What's it called again?
It's called LA's Finest.
I wonder if they tried to name it like Bad Girls.
And that people are like, no,
that makes no sense.
Yeah. In fact, maybe that's what it maybe was or something. I'm going to assume Jerry Bruckheimer Television produces it, which is correct. Sony Pictures and Jerry Bruckheimer are producers of it. I'm kind of more interested in that kind of, but where to find that, we'll have to look that one up.
Yeah.
But of course, there is the movie that came out this weekend. Bonafide hit. I mean, it made for January. I mean, this is a big opening.
Yeah.
That happened with Bad Boys for Life.
Yeah.
Having said that, I feel like it's almost 5 years too late to do a third movie.
Yeah. Well,
depending on what this movie is, and I don't know what this movie is.
I think it might be all right. Well, but also Will Smith is kind of waned a little bit.
He's had a lot of not great hits lately, and so the waniness of him.
Yeah, and this might be the right time for him to do this.
It might. I think it is the right time for him to do this. I think it's the right time for Martin Lawrence to have a little bit of a comeback.
If it was 5 years earlier,
I think that you're right. Five. Yeah, that's not the right time.
No.
He was still in his heyday of trying to,
Yeah. No, I think this is the right time for it.
Yeah.
And just interesting to see though, because let's talk about you could have all sorts of stuff that came from this. Look at it when the movie started, his daughter is 15.
Oh, okay.
And now she'll be what? Because this movie is 2003 to now, so what? 16, 17 years later.
Oh, yeah.
So, how have things changed with the family? What is Martin Lawrence doing? I'm interested in seeing how things have changed. If they're still the same two detectives doing the same two things, and then that might be, but I would probably be a little bummed if that's the case. But I'm intrigued to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that spinoff. I keep looking it up.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yes. I'm going to assume you can't really stream it anywhere. I'm not finding it anywhere. It's just on the Spectrum. I don't even know what Spectrum is.
Yeah.
TV, but whatever. There you go. What's our next question, Jeremy? I love how you were like, "Wow, you really came up with that plot very well." Like, just
I saw you looking at something, and I also know you well enough that shit-eating grin on your face. I knew that you were ready with something.
Thank you so much. Just love to eat shit. All right.
Does this movie stand on its own?
No. Like what happened 8 years ago?
Yeah. They don't really talk about it.
They don't really talk about it, but I'm assuming that's from the first movie.
You're just meant to understand what their relationship is, and I think like if you haven't seen it, because I was trying to put myself in that.
Also, I know Cameron Union's not in the first movie, but she could have been. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I tried to put myself in that.
There was no really exposition except towards when he was all like, "We both have had therapy."
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah.
So I don't really think of that.
There's not really that much to go on, but like they don't reestablish the relationship. You're just meant to know what it is. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it does stand on its own.
Go ahead.
And then let's see. Does this make you want to watch the first one?
Yes, this makes me want to watch the first one. It makes me want to watch the first one. It doesn't make me want to watch Bad Boys for Life in the movie theater, but I'll watch it. You know, these aren't necessarily the movies I want to watch in the movie theater. I don't know why. I'm just kind of like one of those people that wants to just watch them on my leisure time. I'm really interested in that spinoff now that I found out what it was. So yeah, all of these I would watch. I wouldn't be against them. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
You?
I do. It does kind of make me want to watch it again. Like I've seen it before. Yeah. But I really don't.
Does it make you want to watch Hot Fuzz?
It does make me want to watch Hot Fuzz.
I'm just checking.
For sure, it makes me want to watch Hot Fuzz. Mm-hmm. But I do want to go back and look at the first one again because it's been so long since I've seen it that I feel like I may have a different viewpoint on it now. Like, I don't know. So I just kind of need to see it and understand what Yeah. And then sum up your experience in 2 words.
Monster movie. And when I mean monster movie, I don't mean like Godzilla or all those monster movies. I'm talking about a movie that is made on a monster drink. That's what this movie reminds me of. It comes in kind of a fashion of time of energy drinks, of MTV, of like this flashiness, of like Michael Bublé or
Michael Bublé.
Wow, Michael Bublé. That's what I call him.
The crooner.
Yeah, the crooner. Michael Bay. God, you got me. Because you always say Michael Bublé or whatever.
Michael Bay Bablojan.
Well, whatever you say, I like it when you say it because it always confuses me. This is a movie that is pumped on with testosterone. It's pumped on through the fact that Michael Bay used to direct music videos. The fact that it's the fastness of it. It's all hyperness. It's very hyper. Even the acting is a little bit hyper. It's just kind of part of something that has always been there for the last 10 years. And it's time to kind of accept that it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. That we'll have these energy drinks for a while.
Yeah.
As long as people will go see cars jumping out of buildings.
Yeah.
Onto other buildings. Or Hobbs and Shaw or whatever you want. There you go.
Yeah.
You? What are your 2 words?
Michael
Bublé.
Michael Bay Bublosians. No, I would say heightened Bayhem. Bayhem.
Oh.
And basically again, because like the Bayhem in the first movie was one thing. And I think you're really getting Michael Bay, like his style coming out a lot more by the time this movie came out. Like, he had a lot more movies that he kind of refined that with. Before he was just doing nonstop Transformers. This movie came out,
this movie came out before all those.
Yeah. But like you can see, like
this seems to be pinnacle Michael Bay, right?
You know
what I mean? Like if you were gonna go, hey, Michael Bay's greatest hits, Bad Boys 2 would be part of it.
This
right?
still has like it still emphasizes some story in here before it starts getting to like By the time you get to the second Transformers and things start making no sense whatsoever, like, and it's just the Bablosions, like, that's...
Oh, right, because Michael Bay did Armageddon. I mean, that's ridiculous. The plot is ridiculous. But it's also fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he came from the same school as... He actually literally went to school with Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder.
Well, that explains a lot.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
Joss Whedon and him were undergrads together.
God,
and when he went to graduate school, he went to graduate school with Zack Snyder.
It's like he's the opposite, though, of like Joss Whedon, though. He's like the male hyper testosterone of his Space Odyssey.
I think you need to see some Joss Whedon movies. There also have some have some over the topness to them.
Yeah, like what?
I just have to go back through. Sure. I'm not going to go through his catalog now, but they have some, but not like to the same degree.
Right.
But if you look at like Zack Snyder and him,
Snyder though, we're like.
I did read. Did you know that originally, like, there was a couple other movies that Bay was supposed to be involved with? They wanted him to do Watchmen.
They wanted Bay to do Watchmen.
Yeah, that'd have been bad.
Did they want to have Whedon do Watchmen at any time?
I don't know about that.
I kind of would have.
Yeah, that'd have been interesting.
A little bit more. Yeah.
I'd even taken J.J. Abrams doing Watchmen.
What? J.J. Abrams doing? No.
You don't think so?
No. Oh, no. Sorry, but that lab. I'm not even gonna don't get me even started on that last Star Wars movie. That's all I have to say. Anyway.
All right.
Well, you know, what else we got going on this month, Jeremy? I know the Chinese New Year is starting this month. It's actually going to happen on the 25th of January.
Yeah.
It is the year of the rat. So because of that, we decided that we were going to do the sequel to is it Willard?
Willard.
Ben.
Yep.
So look forward to that one because I know I am. I cannot wait for this. I hate rats. You know I do.
Yes, I know.
Oh.
There were lots of rats in this movie too.
There were lots of rats in this movie, but I'm a little freaked out about this one coming up.
Yeah.
This might take a lot out of me.
Yeah, it might.
I'm just saying. It might take a lot out of me.
Ben, the two of us. I can
Folks,
play some more.
Where can people find us, Jeremy? When we're not
can
talking?
Find us at deucepodcast.podbean.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us at Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, a lot of those podcatchers. Or you can also find us, as well as our network mates, over at nophonynetwork.com. And you can also go to our Facebook page and join us there, or you can find us on Twitter at Deuce Podcast.
Right. Remember, we are not a Facebook page. We're not a podcast page. We're not a Twitter page about the HBO series The Deuce.
Yes.
We're about the second installment of movies. Remember that, folks. Also, remember, the sequel is king.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had bad traits, you go to school and